I have the creepiest story to tell you. I was so scared that I had to sleep with my light on last night. So there was this woman who was in a long-term relationship with this guy who was an only child, and he passes away. So at this point, there's nobody to take care of his elderly mum. She gets a new job and she ends up having to move away, but she has this massive guilt about the fact that she has left his mum on her own and she has no other family to help take care of her. And not only that, but her partner had had this big Alsatian dog, and her partner passed away. That dog actually became the mum's rather than hers. The dog was like the only link that this woman still had to her son, and it was also like her only companion. Before she moves away, she does make sure that his mum is moved to a ground floor apartment, and she also makes sure that she has somebody to walk the dog several times a week. It just so happens that the guy who manages this new place where she's living has his own dogs, and so he says, I can do that for you. And she's like, brilliant. Every time she would speak to the old lady, she seemed to be really grateful for the help that this guy was giving her. She feels like she can stop going there as much to visit, and so she does. She kind of takes a back seat. Well, eventually the lady passes away, and at this point she has to go there and help clean out the flat. And she would actually come face to face with this manager again, and when she does, she is horrified because this man is head to toe in her late boyfriend's clothes. She tries to tell herself it could just be a coincidence, they're around the same age, or maybe, just maybe, her ex-mother-in-law had in fact gifted those clothes, and if that's the case, what was it to do with her? She had moved away after all. She tells the man that she would like to take him for dinner just to say thank you for everything that he had done for them, and he accepts. And when they're out for dinner that night, he kind of does explain that, yeah, the clothes are your ex's. I hope you don't find that weird. It hadn't even crossed his mind that he would be wearing them the first time they would come face to face again. It wasn't just the clothes, because even some of his mannerisms were very similar to that of her ex. At some point, she asked if she would be able to see Zeus, because the entire time she's been back, she has not seen this man with the dog at all. And he tells her, yeah, no problem. I will bring Zeus around tomorrow and you can spend the day with him. Next day, she expects this man to knock on the door with the dog, but he never comes. And then he sends her a message later that night saying, I'm really sorry, I ended up taking Zeus out early on a maintenance call, and I'm around tonight if you want to get dinner, and I will bring Zeus. And she can't do that night, so she replies to tell him as much. And when he replies, he asks, is she going on a date? At this point, to avoid any awkwardness, she just comes out and says, I actually do have a boyfriend, so no, I'm not going on a date, I'm seeing a friend, but just in case you thought there was something that could happen here, I'm just letting you know I have a boyfriend. And after that, he just doesn't reply, and so she thinks like that is the end of that. She goes out that night for dinner, and when she comes back to the old lady's apartment where she's still staying, she is like going through her suitcase so that she can find herself some pajamas, and that is when she realizes that the inside of her case is soaking wet. Not only is it wet, there is like a pungent smell of urine. It's as if somebody has weed into her case. The only thing that she can think to do is call the maintenance man, and when she calls his phone, she hears the phone ringing from within the apartment. She is inside this apartment on her own with the doors locked. She grabs what she can grab and she runs out of that apartment. She drives to her friends and she stays there for the night. In the morning, she gets a call from the maintenance man, which she's too scared to answer. This man is like horrified to hear what has happened, and he says he dropped Zeus to the apartment, and then he had picked up Zeus later that night, and that he had actually ended up leaving his phone inside the apartment. And then when he had called her in the morning, she hadn't answered. He had worried there was something wrong, so he let himself in. That's how he's managing to call her now. Friend, she's like completely convinced by this guy, and so she tells her friend, like, I think you were just paranoid and it's fine. He sounds like a nice guy. I think you should go back there. She listens to her friend, she goes back there, and she ends up finishing up clearing everything, but she cannot find any of the old videos of her and her partner that she really had wanted to take with her, and so she just writes it off and thinks they must have been lost in the move at some point. While she's cleaning out the flat, she does come across this little like shoebox type thing, and inside was a plastic bag, and in that plastic bag were ashes. She cannot for the life of her work out what these ashes would be from, because her boyfriend hadn't been cremated. It is until she's at the old lady's funeral and somebody comes over and asks, is she going to be buried with Zeus's ashes? Zeus was dead. And just as this woman finds out that that was not dog wee in her suitcase, he walks into the funeral head to toe in her dead ex's clothes. She never finds the videos of her and her ex, and so she feels like he had watched those videos and kind of like studied how her ex moved and then copied it. And he was in the apartment when she came home that day by herself. Imagine she never called his phone. He would have just been like, what, in a cupboard? My worst nightmare.